clearer. It's better, we?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Okay, I need Ogujiuba to come back.
You have enough data?
I hope so. That's what I'm asking.
So. You have at least 5,000 data in your phone. Because if you hope so and it goes off immediately,
Yeah.
you don't destroy your reputation.
Rita, can you guys see me now? That's what I was asking if I could borrow your data.
If you borrow my data,
Yeah.
you won't be able to.
Uncle Dele, I'm back.
You won't be able to use my. You have to use my phone.
Uncle Dele, I'm back.
It's not mine is on.
Oh God. Uncle Dele, I'm back. Oh, what do I do now? Because he's telling me that he said no, he hasn't connected.
It's even delayed.
He hasn't connected yet.
It's delayed.
Hold on, let me see what's up.
This is so terrible, honestly.
Go live.
Yeah, I'm waiting for his request. He's back here, but I'm not. But yeah, Tutu is back, but I can't see his request. Are you sure that I'm not doing something wrong here? Uncle Dele, can you send me your request, Uncle Dele? It's back here, but I'm not.
You see, it's delayed.
I can't see his request. That's the thing. Okay. I think he's.
It's Lord.
Jesus Christ.
It's Lord, you can do better.
He's what?
Look, why don't let me give you screen cleaner?
I need to apologize to everybody because this is my first time doing this. So Uncle Dele, sorry about.
I am right here. I've been
Can you
watching
see
you since.
battling? This is my first
You were
live.
battling with light, battling with positioning, battling with everything. Don't worry. We can be here till 12 midnight. I'm ready for you. Don't problem.
It's my first time doing this, so I'm just trying to get used to it.
Oh wow!
It's my
Okay,
first time.
don't worry.
I really want to apologize to everybody for all this this drama. It's my first time, so forgive me. I'm sure next time I'll get it right.
It will go well. Don't worry.
Uncle
We're
Dele,
all bound to make mistakes.
Yes, first of all, congrats again on your birthday. You know, I
Thank
was
you.
actually supposed to travel. Then you sent me the invite about the party at Harbour Point. I think it's supposed to be this weekend.
No, 31st. End of the
31st,
month.
of May. I had to quickly change my tickets, and when I called my agent that I need to come back before the 30th, and they said because of the way I routed my trip, London, Oslo, London, then Lagos, they said I'll pay 200,000 naira to change my my ticket. So we're still arguing about the price. Then coronavirus thing came on board full force. So I was very happy that I didn't have to pay that amount of money to change my tickets. Not like I'm happy because coronavirus is around, but at least that money has been saved in a way. So Uncle Dele, I want to also use this opportunity to thank you for being a big umbrella in our jungle. That's the media jungle. You've been a source of
thank you.
support. There's never a time that we have issues that we run to you that you don't come to our aid. Even if you don't know the person, you make an effort to get across to the person and sort it out. I remember my experience when I first joined these day newspapers. Then you were the editor. I had issues with the chairman, so I thought I was going to lose my job, and I was crying. I'm sure you don't remember my name. I was shedding tears like a baby. Then you saw me when I was going downstairs with my bag, and you were like, young lady, what's the problem? I said, I think I'm going to be sacked. So you asked me what happened, and I told you that I did this and that, and the office wasn't happy about it. So I think I might lose my job. So you told me to follow you back to the office. So I followed you back, went back to Chairman's penthouse, and I stood by the door like an accused. You know, I was scared to go into his office. You know, and you were like, come, like Uncle Dele, no, I'm scared. You know, so I said, okay, don't worry, let me talk to Chairman first. So you went and spoke to him. Then you now called me in to apologize. I hope you remember that incident at the Kenya
Yeah,
office.
faintly. Yes.
Yeah. Then you now called me in to apologize, and Chairman now forgave me. So I rushed down to the newsroom and I shouted that Uncle Dele begged for me, you know. And since then, that's one memory in my career that I can never forget. And I
Thank you.
I don't think in the media we can stop celebrating you, because you've been a really, really strong support for everybody that has come in touch with you in the media. So Dele, there's something about you that baffles me, and I've always wanted to ask you this question, you know, and I remember when you left Nigeria after June 12, when your godfather was killed, Chief MK Abiola. I know it was somebody that you loved, and in short, it was like your father that we knew in the media. So, and the same people that killed him, well, let me call them political dinosaurs. They made you, I mean, you left because you were also fighting for the mandate, the June 12 mandate. So
Your internet is playing up. Your internet. Okay.
Is doing what again?
Okay,
Is
I'm
it okay
hearing you
now?
now. Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you now.
I mean, like during the June 12 crisis, you were one of the people that spoke out because the person involved was your father, you know, and I always remember you saying that he gave you the platform during the Concord days to start your journalism career. So I'm like, when you came back after your exile, and you started Ovation Magazine, and the way I don't know, at what point did you forgive General Babangida and the Abachas?
Okay, very good question. Number one is that you must follow your mentor. When you say someone is your mentor, you must know what he likes, what he wants. I will liken Chief Moshood Abiola to Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was jailed for 27 years. A lot of his supporters were killed. A lot of properties were destroyed in South Africa. When he came out, he could have killed all his enemies. He chose to forgive them. I can see Gumsu Abacha even right now on this page. It's funny, you are talking about the Abachas and she just came on. So a lot of us admire Nelson Mandela. We all shout his name, the world's greatest statesman. But none of us wants to emulate Abacha. And let me give you a few stories. After the annulment of June 12th,
Sorry. Uncle Daddy,
one
sorry.
day,
Uncle Daddy, sorry, 1 second, please. Daniel, we didn't press record. We're not recording. Uncle Daddy, sorry. I was supposed to be recording this. I'm just so sorry.
no, you can record at the end. When it finishes, it will show you if you want to save. It will show
Okay.
it to you. Don't worry.
Okay. Oh, okay.
There is no
Okay.
problem. And I'm sure my own people are also recording.
Okay.
So, yes, I was telling you a story about Chief Abiola, and this is a true life story. So after the annulment of June 12th, one day, reports came that a particular newspaper wanted to write, there was a leakage, a letter Chief Abiola wrote to Babangida, and it was by Tempo. So Chief called me and said, can I reach Mr. Bayo Ononuga, who was the MD of Tempo and the News? And he asked if they could stop the story from coming out, because a lot of people will be disappointed that he and Babangida were still having a conversation. In retrospect, I believe the mistake we all made was that we didn't know how to resolve our problems amicably. And it is still the same problem that is bedeviling Nigeria today. We fight to finish. Every war has a terminal end, and it is usually resolved on the negotiating table.
Yeah.
So Chief Abiola wrote a letter to Babangida, but I think that letter was a bit belated, because on June 12th, I was not in Nigeria on June 12th. I was in Vienna. Chief Abiola had sent me to Austria to represent him at the Bruno Kreisky Award, which was being received by Chief Ganifa Weyimi. So that event took place on the 11th of June. On June 12th, I left Vienna to London. And on Sunday, June 13th, I called the Concord newspapers in Nigeria. Are you hearing me?
I'm listening here, Uncle Dele.
Yeah, so I called the Concord newspapers in Nigeria, and the Concord newspapers told me that chairman was coasting home to victory. Chief Abiola was going to win the election, and that they had counted about 16 states already. Then on Monday, June 14, I called your former boss, our very dear brother, Nduka Obaigbena, in Lagos.
Yeah.
I called him from London, and Nduka said, Dele, I've been looking for you. Where are you? I said, I'm in London. That Chief Abiola sent me to Vienna. He said, please reach Chief Abiola urgently, because he is going to win the election, but they are not going to hand over to him. I told Nduka it was not possible. How can a man win an election and they won't give it to him? That very Monday, Chief Ganifa Weyimi joined me in London. That's June 14, 1993. When Chief came, he called me, and I said, Chief, this is what Nduka has told me. Chief also dismissed it, that it was not possible. One of the mistakes I think we made was that a lot of people were already boasting that, no, we must fight the military. If we don't fight them, we must do this, we must do that. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe if we had allowed Azu, I'm seeing some, it doesn't look like you are concentrating.
I am, Uncle
Hello?
Dele. The camera,
I'm seeing your facial expressions like something is wrong. It's very black now, very dark. I can't even see you at all.
Can you see me now? Can you see me?
I'm seeing you. That's fine. It's not very clear, but it's better than nothing. So don't worry. It can only get better with time. Yeah. Because this is a very, very important story that a lot of people are not aware of. So that was how Chief Ganifa Weyimi and I decided that, okay, we will leave London on the 16th, which was a Wednesday, and we left London through Gatwick Airport. And as we were boarding our flight, we got the report from Nigeria that the election had been stopped, that they should stop counting the results. And so they were not going to be releasing the results. And of course, by the time we landed in Lagos, Dr. Beko, Ransom Kuti, Femi Falana, all of them were already waiting for Chief Weyimi. And from that moment, we started the struggle. So where I'm going is that a lot of people made the mistake of thinking the only way to get rid of the military was to fight the military, when we lacked the wherewithal, we lacked the arsenal, we lacked the firepower to fight the military. That was number one. By the time we got home, I was the first person that they arrested. Between July and August, Chief Abiola invited me home one evening. I think it must have been about 31st of July. Mayor Akipelu, I remember one landmark event. Mayor Akipelu was having his bachelor's eve that night at the La Campagne Tropicana in Adeniyi Jones. So Chief asked me to come to his house in the house. It was a Friday. He said I should come on the Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. So I went to his house. When I got there, he said I should wait. And I waited till 4 a.m. Chief couldn't attend. I could see a flurry of activities in the building. So at 4 a.m., I was the last person in the building. Then Chief came, he said he wanted to give me some documents to take to Tell magazine. That time they were all publishing from the bush. They couldn't go to their offices because they would be arrested.
Wow.
So I went to see Mr. Kola Ilori of TER at the time. He was living somewhere around Akuwojo. So I left Chief Abiola's house, rushed to La Campagne Tropicana because I wanted to catch up with Mayor's bachelor's leave. Mayor and I were living in the same building in Adigboluja in Ojodu. I was upstairs, he was on the down flat. So you can imagine him missing, out on his bachelor's leave. By the time I got there, they had just finished the bachelor's leave. But because I'd been waiting all day, all night in Chief Abiola's house, I just felt like rocking. I said, okay, Shina Peters was playing at Water Parks on Twin Street. I moved there. I didn't know I was doing send-off for myself. When I got there, Shina was just finishing. Then I moved from there. I went to night shift. Then the governor, Ken Olumeze, said I shouldn't go. We should have breakfast. It was an environmental day. It was the last Saturday of the month. From there, I now took the document Chief Abiola gave me and went to Mr. Kola Ilori's house. When I got there, I gave him the documents and I drove home. Dele on the door. I said, who's banging on the door? She said, what's the matter? He said, I'm a police officer and we're from Force Headquarters. I'm like, so what do you want from me? He said, my boss wants to see you. I said, who is your boss? He said, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Ganiyu Daudu. The man died a few years ago because we later met again. So anyway, I brought them in. So by the time they came in, they said they needed to see me at the end. If they don't mind, can I quickly take a shower because I just returned home? And they said, oh, we know. We've been following you all night. I didn't know they were on my trail all night, And then that was how they took me. I got arrested. They brought me back home, and then they charged me for sedition. But where I'm going is that we went through all that. While I was in detention, Chief Abiola escaped to England, and then he went to America, and that was when he was speaking a lot on international platforms and trying, to mobilize people against the military in Nigeria. Then the next thing, the interim government, came. But before then, people were telling Chief Abiola to come back to Nigeria. I managed to reach him from inside prison. I managed to reach him and I said, Daddy, I beg you in the name of God, stay where you are. Because if you come back and these people should kill you, that will be the end of the struggle. People said, oh no, he has to come back. I know some of the people, including people in the military, who persuaded him to come back. In fact, the day he came back, they gave him back at the presidential wing. We didn't know they were setting a trap. We didn't know they were setting a trap for him. The military and blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. By the time the Abacha coup struck, the speech that was read was obviously different from the tone of what they had agreed with Chief Abiola. This is something that I hope we'll be able to put in a book very soon.
By the grace of God, we can't wait to read it.
I think the coup took place, it must have been November 17 or thereabout, if my memory is correct, and it was a Thursday. So Chief Abiola had gone into hiding around the time the coup took place. Then he came back home, I think on Saturday, he was home. Then he called a meeting. At that meeting, they had Professor Femi Agbalajobi, they had Alhaji Tele Olukoya, they had Alhaji Shukwu Adetono, the Prince of Ijebu. He was one of the closest friends of Chief Abiola. And then there was Lady Yabo Ababa, that's Dr. Doyin Abiola's sister. And,
sister.
Yeah, so we were there in a room. And I remember how everybody was telling Chief, please don't fight the military. Of course, unknown to Chief, a lot of the politicians around him had already agreed to do a deal with Abacha. Because Chief told me that night, I remember Professor Balajobi told him that Abacha seems to be a pro-democracy soldier, that based on his speeches, you know, Abacha used to make some speeches before that coup where he was preaching for democracy and all that. So Chief then instructed me that night to go and collect the Abacha speeches. So I went out to the libraries I could get, and then on Sunday morning, I brought back those speeches. By the time I got into the premises, they told me at Dr. Doyin Abiola's apartment. So I went there. Then he asked me to go and wait for him upstairs. Then he took me into his bedroom. He said, Dele, have you heard? I said, what is that, Daddy? He said, Kingibe. I said, what happened to Kingibe? Kingibe was his vice presidential candidate. I said, what happened to Kingibe? I said, Baba is leaving us. I said, leaving you to where? He said, he's joining Abacha. I said, how is that possible? Your vice president can't leave you. Then he mentioned Ebino Topsy. Chief Ebenezer Batokwe, have you heard that Ebino Topsy 2 is going? I said, going where? To cut a long story short, that evening, they called a meeting of SDP stalwarts in Abiola's house. So it was at that meeting that majority of the people decided that they were going with Abacha, that there was nothing, that if they don't go, that the Yaradua group will take all the positions, that it's better to go and fight from within. And of course, that was when virtually naked. Because if your supporters are saying we're joining the military, so Alhaji Jakode left, Abubakar Rimi left, or everybody, practically Kingibe left, Edisa Batokwe left. Then at the meeting, they also decided that Abiola should go and meet with Abacha and hope they can talk things over. So you will remember that visit of Abiola to General Sani Abacha with Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The picture is still everywhere. That it was that meeting that mandated them to go and see Abacha. What they discussed there, I wouldn't know because I was not a part of the meeting. But where I'm going is that there was a lot of confusion whether to fight or not to fight. I think part of the problem was that once all our main guys left, maybe we should have given up or we should have found a way to negotiate. I don't know. But what I knew is that you will remember that from that November, Abiola himself was not arrested until the following year, in 1994. It was after the June 12th anniversary and the Ekpetedo declaration that Chief Abiola got into that trouble. He disappeared for about 13 days, and we brought him out on the 13th day. The last place he was, I can tell you precisely, was in Surulere at Senator Wahab Dosumu's house. So we arranged to bring him out, and he drove in the car of the late Prince Ademola Adeniji Adele. Prince Ademola Adeniji Adele was begging Chief not to get captured. But some people were naive. I will not mention names. They told Chief, no, if you don't get arrested, there will be no action. Even the international community too, they were naive. They felt Nigeria was like South Africa, where people can fight, people can demonstrate from now till kingdom come. But Nigeria does not have a history of a sustained struggle. In Nigeria, once people go on strike for 2 days, by the third day, everybody will say, look, me, I'm going back to work. By weekends, some people will say, my son's wedding is coming over. I can't come and spoil it. That is our general attitude. Whether you believe it or not, that is what happened. So, Prince Ademola Adeniji Adele begged him not to get canned. I was there just watching helplessly, and then Chief came out, and we drove. It was a comedy of errors, and we drove back to Moshood Abiola Crescent in Ikeja. By the time we got there, we saw some police officers across. They had not entered this gate by then. They were just on Toyin Street. They would have numbered maybe about 600 or thereabout. And there was a man who was standing. It was an open jeep. So Chief was in the middle. I had the pictures. I'm sure I can find it somewhere. I was standing on the left, and there was one Baba on the right. I don't know who he was, but he's some funny character. Anyway, so that old man was the first to ask Chief, are those police officers waiting for us? So Chief could see panic in the man. So Chief said, don't worry, I'm their commander-in-chief. And then we drove into Moshood Abiola Crescent. And of course, they had a lot of crowd. They were cooking for them, giving them food. They were supposed to form a human shield, like they used to do in Iran in those days, where you form a human shield so that nobody will be able to. Of course, Nigeria, after they ate food, they left. Everybody started going. The police people also, of course, the vulture is a patient bird. They waited patiently for the crowd to thin out. So I myself, Chief said, Dele, you must be feeling sticky by now. Go home, see your wife, and then you can come back. Me too, foolishly, I left the house and went away. And I home freshened up. By the time I came, so I couldn't get to enter. In those days, we didn't have mobile phones like now. So I had to go to a business center on Allen Avenue, from where I called the building. And so they passed me on to Chief. And the last thing,
Oh, yeah, Nigeria.
told me to arrest me at 1 a.m. But I don't think Sonny can try it. That was the last thing he told me. He never believed that Abacha would arrest him. So I gave up. Flew him to Maiduguri. I heard they took him to Gashua, because by the time he got there, he sent letters to a few people, and one of the letters was to Dr. Abiola, and in it, he asked of me, and he said I should come to see him. I should disguise, bring a recorder and a camera. In fact, when I told my wife was shaking, that you mean you will go to Gashua? I said, I don't have a choice. I said, the man was there for us, and this is the time for us to be there for him. So on my way, I was to fly to Maiduguri, drive to Damaturu, from Damaturu to Gashua. Then I called Dr. Doyin Abiola that I was on my way to the airport, and doctor told me they had moved Daddy, and I never saw him again till he died. Now, let me fast forward. I don't know what happened to him in detention, but I knew different people were coming to Nigeria to talk to him, to try and persuade him, because once the military got power, they were not ready to relinquish power. Meanwhile, the pro-democracy people were insisting the military must relinquish power, but we were only saying so by word of mouth. We had no power to stop them. So every time people went to Chief would tell them, according to reports, that he would not relinquish the mandate, that the military, they were impostors, they must go away. Finally, on July 5th, it was a Sunday, myself, Tokumba Fikuyomi, we were in exile then with Tinubu and all of them, all the Nadeko chieftains. We were in exile in London. So we had gone to see Nduka Obaigbena. Nduka was staying somewhere, I think it's Park West, off Park Lane. So we went to see Nduka, and we left him early morning, maybe about 4, 5 a.m. And we trekked from Nduka's house to Mobilize, where we wanted to catch a taxi. Tokumba was going to Southgate. I was going to my house in Hampstead Heath. Then we bought the first edition of Sunday Times of London, and there was a story about Chief Abiola in it. And the story was that Kofi Annan came to Nigeria to see Abiola, and Abiola told him, please, I'm not interested in doing any deals. I'm staying put. These people must give me my mandate. From the tone of that article, and by then, Abacha had died. You understand? This was about a month after Abacha's death. I knew, and Absalom Abubakar was now in power. I had a premonition that something bad was likely to happen. If they had not yet released him 1 month after Abacha's death. So I called a friend in Nigeria. She's alive. Her name is Funke Mo. She used to work at LTV8. So I used to pass information to her because she had a telephone line in her house. So I called her. I said, Madam, I think they are going to kill Daddy. And she just dismissed me. Dele, you have come again. You can exaggerate too much. I said something is telling me that then that morning, Ura Abiola called me. She said she was on her way to Cambridge and said, we normally exchange notes. Said, what are we hearing from Nigeria? I said, from what I'm hearing, it seems something bad will happen. Then she panicked and said, what can we do? And then we decided that we will beg the pro-democracy people to allow Abiola to accept any condition so that they can free him to go home. To cut a long story short, Tuesday morning came of July 7, 1998. A blind man called Inka Ibidunu woke me up from bed. I was sleeping a few minutes after 7. And he said, he called, then I picked. When I picked, he said, he said they had just interviewed 2 Americans who came in, Thomas Pickering and Susan Rice, and that they just interviewed them on BBC World News, and they asked them what they were doing in Nigeria, and they said they've come to persuade Abiola to forget about his mandate. And they asked them, so what if he says no to you, like he said to Chief Emeka Anyaoku, the Commonwealth Secretary General, and Dr. Kofi Annan, who was the Secretary General to the United Nations? And they said, well, if he says that, then he would have become a danger to Nigeria. Immediately. That was what the blind man interpreted as Abiola's life being there. You will not believe he died that evening at 4 o'clock. In the presence of the visitor. What killed him, who killed him, I have no idea. Anyway, he died. And at that stage, myself and Tokunbo Kuyomi were the first guinea pigs to come back home from exile, because, I mean, we knew that if the owner of the mandate was dead, they were not going to transfer that mandate to any other person. So let's come home and find out. So we came, and then we went back to feed Nadeko people to let them know the situation of things at home. Then we commiserated with the family. Now to your question, where I'm going is that the Abiola himself, if they had allowed him to use his personal judgment, he would not have fought the military. Don't forget that at a certain level, they are all friends. Even Buhari, that Babangida toppled from government, when Buhari needed votes, where did he go? He went to Mina. He went to see Obasanjo. He went round. That's the nature of politics. They fight only when things go wrong between them. So Chief Abiola and Babangida were the best of friends. Till today, we don't know what happened. We don't know what went wrong. And if you noticed, even some of the weddings of Babangida's children, the Abiola family was represented after the whole show. Go and check it. Concord reported, when Concord was alive, every situation in Babangida. So to me personally, the first one that I would like to answer is the Abachas. Ovation was invited to cover the weddings of 2 Abacha daughters, Zainab and Gumsu Tutupai. I didn't know them prior to that. But the job of a journalist, first and foremost, is to report. It's called reportage.
Yeah, true.
If they kill my mother today, a journalist will still report it. But what I found stupefying was that as soon as we covered that wedding, all hell broke loose.
I remember very well.
Including some of my friends. They said Dele has sold out. They've paid him off. Unknown to them, we did the best job of journalism. Nobody ever saw where Abacha was buried when he was buried. We got the exclusive. When we sneaked to the backyard where there is a beautiful mausoleum in which he was buried. Even the members of the Abacha family thought we came just for the wedding. But the thing about us is that one, Ovation is not a tell magazine, it's not a newswatch magazine, it's not, we are a lifestyle magazine. So if tomorrow anybody is doing a wedding, we will cover it. If you say somebody stole your money and I show you how they spend the money, how can you hold me for that? You can't hold me for it. So if you have any problems with that, then you can use that as documentary evidence or whatever. We went there to cover, all newspapers in Nigeria went there. So I don't know why my own was different. That's number one. Number two, the Babangida's weddings. All newspapers in Nigeria went there. Members of the Abiola family went there. But the only person they held was Dele Momodu. That Dele Momodu covered it. I did not attend the Babangida weddings. We covered it. We had our best photographers and we got the best exclusive pictures. Without those pictures, nobody would have known what happened at the wedding. If I choose to cover only my friends, I will be out of job.
True.
Journalism is not a charity. Journalists are not lambs of God who take away the sins of the earth. Journalists must still do their job. But as an individual, I have my opinion. So you must always separate the individual. It's like saying because Concord is pro-SDP, Concord should never cover anything NRC. That's not how journalists work. You can have your bias, but you will still report the other side. And that's what happened. So, but the misinterpretation was that Dele has sold out. But to be quite honest with you, again, when I met their Abachas, it was their father who was the head of state. It was not their mother, it was not the children. I met a family that, despite our differences, welcomed me perfectly. Mrs. Abacha, Miriam Abacha, she's alive today. Beautiful woman. I don't know what they had against me, but I knew what I had against them. I am someone who believes in destiny. My destiny was fulfilled through those turbulence that occurred. If I had not gone on exile, there would be no Ovation today. The same family that I ran away from, I came back, I became friends with Gumsu, with Zainab, you know, and the rest of the family. We interviewed them and we came back. That was all we did. And some people said we had no right to interview them. If a Nigerian ever interviewed Osama bin Laden, he would have been accused of promoting terrorism. In Nigeria, journalists are always accused of all sorts. Once you interview someone, it means you have been bought, and that is what happened. So I don't know anything aside that, but that is my response.
Uncle Dele, do you think that, like people still say that Abiola was the best president Nigeria ever had? Do you agree in that ideology too?
Well, Abiola was never president,
That
but I believe absolutely that going by his character and his lifestyle, it would have been the best. But Abiola, you see, what you will be, the Yorubas have a saying, a child who will be great, you would have seen traces of greatness in him, even from childhood days. Abiola was the kind of man who believed in Nigeria. Until today, that is lacking. We need someone who believes in Nigeria. We need someone who is not vindictive. We need someone who will not say, because somebody offended me, I must kill all members of his family. That is the problem we have. Those who were preaching that we should not talk to the Abachas, we should not talk to the Babangidas, we should not talk to anybody, I'm not sure they are good Christians or good Muslims. Because in Christianity, I don't know what the Quran says about forgiveness, but I know what the Bible says. Forgive your enemies 70 times, 7 times. And if you go to church and you say you cannot forgive your enemies, you will be in crisis. That's the crisis we have today. If Mandela wasted his time after he came out of detention 27 years after on pursuing his enemies, South Africa would have collapsed totally today. But rather, he came and he made sure that everybody came back and they had, unity. Nigeria lacks unity. Today, Nigeria is more divided than ever. I believe that Abiola would have united Nigeria. I don't know of anybody. Abiola had his business everywhere. He had the Yoruba newspaper, he had the Igbo newspaper, he had the Hausa newspaper. Abiola Farms, he had Abiola Farms in Lafiagi, he had in Ogun State, he had in Dhaka, in Taraba State. I don't know of any Nigerian who was able to spread his businesses like that. He even built houses in places where you will be wondering, why would you do this? When Sultan Abubakar III died, Abiola was the only Yoruba man or any Nigerian who risked his life to go to Sokoto to go and try and reconcile the families when the Mashidos and all of them were saying they were not going to allow Dasuki to reign. I was one of those who interviewed him, Babafemi Ogujiuba and all of us who were in African Concord when that thing occurred. So I know that Abiola definitely would never have discriminated against anybody. And anybody who claims to believe in Abiola and does not have that spirit, then you are not an Abiola devotee.
Dele, what you just said, even me as a young journalist, I knew some of them, but not as deep as you. Have you ever thought of doing like a documentary about your journey, your journey in your journalistic antecedents? Have you ever thought about putting like
I pray
together?
that God will give me the time and the soundness of mind. As you get older, you begin. I'm shocked that I still recollect everything vividly. Maybe because I've lived with it. There were key actors who died with the stories. People like Alhaji Tele Olukoya, someone like Professor Agbala Jobi, Alhaji Shukwade Tono. These were recently Dr. Orefalomo. In fact, the one that pained me the most was Dr. Orefalomo, because that was his personal physician, and he was a man who liked me so much, and he was living on the same street in Anthony Village with Kola Abiola, Deji, and Agbo at that time. And the man had so much information. And don't forget that Dr. Falomon was also doctors to the other families, all the military guys. So he was the one right in the middle of all of them.
Of everybody.
And we kept delaying, and suddenly last year, Dr. Falomon died. And that was how a whole mine of information died with him. But I'm hoping that the aspect that will be difficult will be when he was in detention, what happened to him. There will be a few people like Mr. Oluwakerele, who was my senior at Concord newspapers. Mr. Oluwakerele was probably the closest person and he was in charge of the Abuja Bureau office of Concord newspapers. So I'm sure he had a lot of access to Chief Abiola, even in detention, because he was the one who would do his laundry for him, do everything. They were very, very close. I'm hoping that between them and some members of the family, we will agree on if I can do the story, because the story that I will do will be only from my own personal experience, and that won't be too much. We need members of the family to say, yes, we are ready, let's work on it. Definitely, I'm ready to work with them if they say so.
Okay, okay, this question, because it's very, very, very tough to me, so I have to write it down. It's actually long, but I have to read it out to you. Just before the last presidential election, in one of your articles in the Pendulum series in these day newspapers, you mentioned that when you're writing on politics and politicians next time, you want to be writing from inside. Now, I mean, we know that you are friends with a lot of them, and you've interacted with them. So, and that you know them very well, or whatever. I mean, their political journeys. So now, can you just give us an overview? Like I broke it down to like A, B, C, D. So
that's what? I didn't hear that.
I broke it down. I said that because you're friends with all of them, the politicians, like they're friends, I'm sure, and you're also politically alert. So I'm just saying that, can you just give us give us an overview of what we expect in 2023?
Well, it is too early to know what will happen in 2023. I am not a prophet, but I have what I believe is called the power of analysis. Some of them are very obvious, those who are interested. The two leading political parties would produce a winner. That one is certain. That's if there is one thing I learned from contesting in 2011, it is that it is impossible for a third force to win election in most countries, not just Nigeria, whether in America. That's why Donald Trump had to hijack the Republican Party in America. You need a platform. So anybody who says is going to run on a fringe political party, you are going to waste your resources for nothing. Because one, you will not be able to mobilize enough funds. You will not be able to galvanize enough voters to support you. And so that is impossible. What I don't know is if APC would implode, like like it happened to PDP at the time. It is very possible because at the rate they are going, I can see a lot of infighting. And by the time you remove Buhari from the equation, the party will become weaker. The only man holding that party together today is Buhari. So the fear of Buhari that, no, we cannot try Buhari, or we can't try. So a lot of people who wanted to fight, you could see that even they almost sacked Adams Oshiomhole the other time until Buhari intervened. So the moment you remove Buhari from the equation, APC may fall flat. And APC, so let me start from APC. APC has a lot of ambitious people. And I will give you their names. Okay? From the north, it is clear to me that Nasiru El-Rufai is interested. It is clear to me that who else in APC in the north? Nasiru is the most obvious in APC from the north. Though a lot of people in APC are saying they want the thing to come back southwards. Okay? My prediction is that the person who will get the ticket, because without a ticket, you cannot even run for office. The person who will get the ticket is whosoever President Buhari endorses. Because they will have to use the power of state, which is the power of coercion, to get that person the ticket. And hopefully they will be able. Yes, someone just told me, yes, it is true. It seems that Baba Gana Kingibe is on that lineup. If you come to the south, the most prominent are in Yoruba land. For now, the others have not come out. People are mentioning Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he's tired of being a kingmaker. He wants to be the king. People are mentioning that the current vice president, because he has been in government now, by then he would have been in government for 8 years as vice president, that he will be the most experienced and the most influential of them all, that Vice President Osinbajo should be allowed to take it. And that if it is coming to the South anyway, they believe that the Southerners should be a Christian because the Muslim North will pick the Vice President. Then people are mentioning that on merit, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, that he performed as Lagos State governor. If he can mobilize enough forces, that he will make a good president. People are going beyond just politics. People are looking at the leadership qualities. Some people are mentioning Dr. Kayode Fayemi in Ekiti State. He is currently the chairman of the Governors Forum, and that is a strategic position for him to be able to mobilize and galvanize his fellow governors. Seyi Makinde, someone is mentioning, Seyi Makinde is in PDP. I'm not sure he will be fully ready by then. He might prefer to just have a second term as governor. So if you are looking at
somebody mentioned Amechi's name there.
No. talking about
They're not-
Yorubas now.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
Yorubas,
Yorubas now. So if you leave Yoruba land, then you go to South. In the South, people have mentioned that it seems Adams Oshiomhole is interested in one form or another. I don't know. He hasn't told me, but it is not unlikely. I mean, he's one of the most experienced politicians that they have in APC, and as chairman, you know that the same thing happened during the time of Kingibe when Abiola was running. Kingibe was chairman of the SDP, and Kingibe also ran as a presidential candidate. So it's possible that Adams Oshiomhole might be interested. Then if you go also towards Rivers, definitely there is nothing stopping Rotimi Amechi from running because he's virtually the longest running politician. He's been speaker twice in Rivers. He's been governor twice in Rivers. Now he's been minister twice. So he's been through the whole gamut of leadership from that area. People are saying, what about me? I'm not interested. They should leave me out of it. I just want to mind my business for now. I'm interested in good governance, and I will definitely support whosoever I feel.
Someone mentioned Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, former minister.
But I don't know if she's in PDP. I know she worked under PDP, but there's no evidence that she's in any. You have to be in a political party to be able to get a ticket. So, and when last I spoke to her, she didn't give me the impression. We still spoke about 2-3 weeks ago. She didn't give me the impression that she didn't even want us to talk about Nigerian politics. You know, a lot of people, when you are a professional, you don't want anybody to come and mess you up. People have mentioned another professional, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, the president of the African Development Bank. They've mentioned him as well, you know. So there are good. It's not that Nigeria does not have capable hands. The problem is that Nigeria ready for capable hands? You have a young man like Sowore. Sowore, when you talk to him, he's very confident. He seems knowledgeable. He looks like someone who will be able to mobilize, you know, a lot of young folks. A lot of countries. I mean, if you look at France, where you have Emmanuel Macron. I mean, how old was Macron when he became president of France? How old was David Cameron in UK? You understand? So Nigeria is overripe for that, but I'm not looking at age alone. Now let's go to PDP. In PDP, definitely they also have a lot of ambitious people, but most of them are from the north. One, I believe Alhaji Atiku Abubakar will run again. Whether he will get the ticket or not, I don't know. I believe that Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki is definitely interested. Don't forget that he ran the race the last time. And you understand? Then Aminu Tambua, the governor of Sokoto State, definitely will be interested. He ran also the last time. Then in the South, the biggest bulk and the biggest of them are in the South in terms of if they require funding. That's where Wike holds sway. You can see that Wike is very, very strong in PDP. And the fear of Wike in PDP is the beginning of wisdom. And it's the fear is the power of money. It's cash. Whosoever can mobilize cash. Okay, someone is saying Sule Lamido also, yes, in the north. Of course, Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, don't forget, Kano has the biggest votes of them all. So, and he's practically already mobilizing. I spoke to him about 2-3 weeks ago on Instagram Live, and you could see his confidence, you could see his experience, and he is one of the few politicians in the north. He was governor, he left, he went, he's been senator, he's been minister in strategic portfolios, came back as governor, and then and all that. So definitely said. And you know, the Kwankwashia movement is one of the most formidable movements, and I believe it's not just socio-cultural, it is political. It's a political movement. So we have
Uncle Dele,
them.
what about Donald? They've been mentioning his name here since.
Yes,
Donald.
I think Donald Duke is heading back to PDP. When we had a meeting one-on-one when he was going to run the last time, and I told him that based on my experience, don't waste your time. A third force will not work. And he agreed with me when I interviewed him last week that he has realized that a third force is not ready. You know, Showore believes, and I agree with him, that the largest population of voters are not within those two parties. There are people that we call the floaters party. But how do you mobilize the floaters to become a movement? So that is the challenge before the Showores, the Mogalus, the Feladro Toyes, and so on and so forth. If they are able to mobilize them, maybe they have suffered enough. You know, we Nigerians, our endurance limit is is endless. In any other country, with the way we have suffered, by now you will not have PDP or APC in government. But let tomorrow come. If tomorrow comes, you will see the same Nigerians who complain today that they are suffering. They will still vote for these people. Yes, Peter will be great candidate if you can get the ticket. So I don't know if we will still pair up with Atiku or Atiku will let him go. I don't know. Yeah, that's a great name you've mentioned. Thank you.
Okay,
So
okay. Yeah.
That's as far as I can go. Maybe in another year, if you invite me again, I will have a clearer picture. But I have an idea about those who want to run. But let me put a caveat. Nigeria is a very interesting country. It is a country where most people who prepare to be presidents hardly become presidents. Nigeria is a mafia nation where members of the mafioso always endorse their candidate. And I will give you just one example. When Obasanjo was running in 1999, Chief Olufalaye was running against him. I was supporting Olufalaye. And why? I didn't believe that the military had the right to come back by changing from uniform to agbada. So I supported Olufalaye, economist, banker. You know, I always like cerebral people.
Okay, that's a specific time.
So how do I still
It's on now.
It's coming up again.
Okay.
Over.
Sorry,
I didn't know we already. I didn't know we already did 1 hour.
Yeah.
It's getting very interesting.
Very interesting, Gudele. Very, very. I'm very historical.
we have plenty of gist. Anyway.
I told my friends that I'm not going to discuss to you about how you grew up, where you grew up. Is enough.
No, everybody knows that, and
very intellectual.
Anybody can get that on Google.
Yeah.
I was telling you about Falaye and Obasanjo. So I supported Falaye, and when it was time for Falaye to pick his running mate, I suggested to Chief that we should look for a northerner who is well-read. And he asked me, who do I have in mind? And I told him Dr. Rilwan Lukman, who was at OPEC at the time in Vienna. And you will not believe it, as young as I must have been about 38 at the time. I left Nigeria and I went in pursuit of Dr. Rilwan Lukman at the OPEC. And when I got there, we had dinner, then he took me back to my hotel at the Intercontinental. And he told me something that I will never forget. I told him Chief Falaye sent me to come and plead with him to be his running mate. Then he looked at me and said, Dele, I wish you were staying in my house tonight. I would have made some calls at about 2, 3 a.m. Then you would have realized that those who control Nigeria, they don't sleep. And they've decided that Obasanjo is the one coming back. So even before elections, it is usually decided who the members of the mafia will support. So that is why you will see, like I said, you could see that Buhari had contested 3 times and he lost 3 times until in Nigeria. You cannot win election without the bad. Today, I don't know about tomorrow. Today, it is almost impossible for anybody. Somebody is asking me, who are the mafia? You know them. It's still a military show. And I will prove it to you that it is still a military show in Nigeria. After Abiola and Abacha died, who took over? A retired general, Obasanjo. He spent 2 terms. After 2 terms, who took over? The brother of a military general, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, the brother of Shehu Musa Yar'Adua. The only person who was an accidental president was Jonathan, and that's why he was easily removable after 1 term. Who took over from him? A retired general, Muhammadu Buhari. Finito.
So what I would like you to know is the sea
So
rotates around military.
the show, it's a military thing. It's a military thing. So you and I, if I will become president tomorrow, I don't know unless there is a revolution. If some people are able to organize their revolution, but I'm not capable of that. I won't know where to go. So for me to become president, then I will have to go from room to room, home to home, and negotiate them. Whether you like it or not, you will go to Mina, because there are 2 of them in Mina alone. You have Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. Those are the oracles. You would have to discuss with Absalami Abubakar, whether you like it or not. You will go to Sokoto, you will go and meet the Sultan. He's the head of the Muslims
You have to come.
in Nigeria.
You have to go to Taraba
So
and meet Danjuma. Danjuma is in Taraba too.
You must meet T.Y. Danjuma. Yes, because he's you can see the way even Buhari treats him with so much respect and all that. So you will meet him. Of course, you will meet Ebora Owu in Abeokuta. He is the biggest statesman out of Nigeria. He is well connected internationally. You might not respect him at home, but globally, he's #1.
He's
out
well
of
connected
Nigeria.
and respected. Yeah.
So so you will have to go and talk to him. There are a few others, General Wushishi. There are a few others on the fringe who are not very visible. So those are the original mafia. There is nothing you can do. No matter how clean you say you are, no matter how angelic you are. And even in America, it happens. Even in America. Someone is telling me that even the Sultan is a retired soldier. It is very true.
Yes.
It's very true. So that is the way it works. So whosoever will be the next president of Nigeria, I'm sure by now is already making the moves and making the rounds within the military establishment.
So Uncle Dele, I was going to find out from you, from your perspective as a journalist and a political analyst, do you think power is going to come back? Power is going to come back to the south, or it will still go back to the north?
I believe power will come back when the negotiators decide where they want it to go. They will negotiate it. They control the military, they control the police, they control INEC. The template is there. The template is there. So My prayer is that the mafia will act in good faith and in favor of the generality of Nigeria, that they will use their power positively, not for personal reasons. So, because we all know good people in Nigeria, we know the good guys who can run Nigeria. Let me tell you, leadership is about managing people and resources. Most people that they have put in power have never managed people and they've never managed resources. That's why we are in a mess. A good leader must be capable of assembling a good team. If I'm the president of Nigeria today, I can tell you, I will have the first 11 ready. I will have the second 11 ready. But the mafia, you know that even constitutionally, a leader is handicapped in Nigeria. The leader has to pick one. If you are picking your cabinet, you pick one from Lagos. Meanwhile, Lagos parades some of the best and most tested leaders in the country. So that is the problem that we have. It's a very big problem.
So
It's a very, very big problem.
well, we don't know. Only God knows how. Like you said, we can't start a revolution. We don't know how to even go about it. We're not even thinking about it. But God will definitely take control. Now, I was going to ask you this vital question. When do you think the Southeast will rule Nigeria? I mean, is it not time for Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, for them to come together and deliberately say that Southeast is your time to rule? For crying out loud, the Civil War has been over 40 years ago. And when Abela died, remember when Abela died, they all the leaders came together and now said, okay, let's give power to the South. So, I mean, don't you think that it's time that, that should also happen in the Southeast?
My answer is very simple. People say, oh, power is not served a la carte. I have a different way of putting it. Power is not served as a buffet. A buffet is where everybody can go on the table. If you like, you can put efo with okra, with ogbono, everything, and salad, and eat it. That's a buffet. But a la carte, there is a menu. And you look at the menu, and then you ask, is this available? If this is not available, what is available? That's how power is. The power game is such that the East, one, would have to fight for that power within the dominant party. You know, every region in Nigeria has a dominant party. And I think in the East, it's between PDP and ABGA, I believe. So I'm not sure ABGA has enough firepower to be a national party. So it remains a regional party. So PDP is the hope of the East. Now, the fight will now be between Southeast and South-South because of its proximity. You know, you have some Igbos, even in Delta. Are you following me?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yes, you have Igbos in Delta,
yeah. So,
and your ma people.
So they are intertwined. So what that means is that they may have to decide who goes between South-South and Southeast. Then they may have a better force within PDP. But when I interviewed Rabiu Kwankwaso before the last election, what he told me was that it will be almost impossible for PDP to win an election if they don't pick a candidate from one of the 3 Ks. And the 3 Ks are Kaduna, Kano, and Katsina. Power is a game of number. Nobody is going to come any day and say, we are giving it to you in the East out of pity, out of love, do you understand what I'm saying? It is a game of number, because if a party picks a candidate purely on sentiment, you are not likely to win the election. And that is my fear for 2023, that if a party decides to pick a Yoruba, for example, especially PDP, if PDP decides to pick a Yoruba candidate, I can almost bet my life that APC will pick a northern candidate. If APC picks a Yoruba candidate, I can almost bet my life that PDP will pick a northern candidate. Write it down. It's a game of number. And then in the south, we can blow a lot of Turenchi. When it comes to day of election, you will see a state like Lagos that's supposed to supply like 4 million votes. You'll be shocked. You will see 500, less than 1 million votes. You will waste 3 million other votes. That's how people lose election. So once you begin to lose election in your main catchment areas, that's it. You are gonna.
So in a nutshell, it just partially means that they're not ready. They're not ready in the East. That's what it means. They've not.
They will. No, I've said it. They will have to negotiate. Let me tell you, the only way any Southerner can win election is if they succeed in uniting Southwest, Southeast, South, and North Central. Any party that can get those 4 regions out of 6, they might make it.
Okay. Now, I have this question again. President Buhari. Okay, let me go back to the word. Nigeria has had like 4 chief of staff. General Mohammed was chief of staff for President Olusegun Obasanjo. Then Mike Ogadome and Brigadier
For Jonathan.
For Jonathan, yes, and Brigadier what's his name again? Brigadier
The man from Ondo State.
Jones, Brigadier Jones,
Yes.
Gorafa, yeah. And when they were working, they were there, but not like they were that known, you know. But in President Buhari's tenure, Abba Kyari was like also in that office, but he was like larger than life.
Yes.
Why do you think it was so?
Okay, I will answer it in 2 ways. The first is that President Buhari definitely had absolute faith in the abilities of his chief of staff. Okay, Abba Kyari. May Allah rest his soul.
Amen.
For Buhari, it was a brain box for Buhari. So Buhari relied on him. This is a man who had gone to very good schools, including Warwick University, including Cambridge. So it's like your major domo. So he really believed in him, and that is why he seemed to have been larger than life. And it's also a question of lifestyle. I remember when we started Ovation, a lot of people used to say my pictures appear too much, but that's my lifestyle. When Chief Awolowo owned Tribune, Chief Awolowo, if he coughed, he will appear on the front page of Tribune. If Chief Abiola coughed, he will appear on the page of Concord. If Chief Emmanuel Iwanya will coughed, he will be on the front page of the
Champions.
If Oji Kalu coughed, he will be on the front page of the Sun newspaper. So why can't they be in the pages of Ovation? I was not even on the cover. I think the only time I was on the cover was my 50th birthday. So sometimes people belittle journalists. Because we're journalists, people don't expect us to behave like human beings. But Like they say in Yoruba, it's a human being that is behind the mask that they call a masquerade. He's not a man from heaven. So we are human. You understand? So the personal style of Abba Kyari was the first chief of staff that I knew who was always by the side of his principal. In pictures, he was a colorful man, though he wore white and his red cap, but he was visible. He was powerful, and he knew how to use power. The others, I'm not sure. Don't forget that Ogujiuba was a deputy governor in Edo State under Lucky Igbenedion. So, and deputies are not supposed to be heard. Do you understand? They are just supposed to be like an appendage of their bosses. So he was used to doing things. He was powerful. He was probably more even powerful than Abba Kyari. But because he didn't talk much, he didn't appear much, so a lot of people would not have noticed.
Okay. President Buhari's second term seems like there's a deliberate attempt to maximize Professor Yemi Oshimanyo's potentials for governance.
So maximize what?
What is your take on that?
That to do what?
There's a deliberate attempt to. I said President Buhari's second attempt is shaky again. Is it? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, I said that President. Okay, fine. I said that President Buhari's second term in the office is obvious that there's a deliberate attempt not to maximize Professor Yemi Osinbajo's potential for governance. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't know what went wrong. I don't know. But you will notice I've written copious articles about it. And I've advised the president directly that he should not waste any time, because the marriage between him and Osinbajo was a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah,
and
true.
They can't do without him. You can't remove him easily. He's one of the most brilliant guys we have in politics in Nigeria today. You better make use of him, because anytime the president was not around, when the president was not feeling well, the man performed.
Yeah,
everybody
indeed
liked him. And you see, what Nigeria needs was what he was doing. He was bringing everybody together, whether you are PDP, you are APC. So all these division that we have today, that's why we are suffering and we're bleeding and we're almost hemorrhaging to death. You know, so I will continue to appeal to APC. This is your poster guy. Don't waste it. The guy is just brilliant. This is a guy, if he was in charge of this COVID, you would have seen, you know, even the style, the caliber of people that would have come on board, the international contacts that he would have been able to mobilize for Nigeria. But I don't know. I don't know what happened. But I believe maybe eventually we will know what is going on. And maybe there is no division. We're the ones crying wolf where there is none. I don't know. But ordinarily to us, he looked more powerful in the first term than in the second term.
Yeah,
I advise the president that they should begin to use him. I think thereafter, now they've given him some role, especially in the economic thing. So let's hope they will make the best use of him. But because who knows? Buhari might change his mind and decide that that's the person he wants to support. You never can tell.
Yeah, okay, Uncle Dele, there's word on the street that APC national leader, Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, that he has been used and dumped by Buhari's kitchen cabinet because they probably don't need him in the next coming election. What's your view on that?
I don't believe anybody can use and dump Asiwaju Tinubu. He's too big to be dumped by anybody. That one I can confirm. I've known him since the time of Abiola. He's one of the greatest political strategists you have around. And any man who controls Lagos, don't forget that Lagos is not just the heart of Nigeria. It's the heart of Africa. I say it every night on my show. Lagos is the heart of Africa. Lagos is like a microcosm of Nigeria. So if there is nobody, there is no state that is not represented in Lagos. That's why they call Lagos no man's land. It's someone's land. And Tinubu is, as of today, firmly in control in Lagos. He's smart enough to know that if he holds Lagos, he holds Nigeria. So, and you can see clearly that President Buhari respects him. Forget about skirmishes here and there, those who don't want it. If you are strong, you will have enemies. Did Awolowo not have enemies within his own party? Did Abiola not have enemies within his own political structure? So it's normal. As a matter of fact, Chief Abiola used to say, the bigger the head, the bigger the headache. So that is what. So if you see anything that seems like Tinubu, nobody can ignore Tinubu. Trust me. There is no time Tinubu goes to Abuja. Within 24 to 48 hours, he will visit the president. They are close. There will be some small people, of course, who also want power, who will feel Tinubu is the one that will block them. So, but I don't think it is as serious as that.
Okay, Uncle Dele, you've had you've also run in the past politically. Is it something that you want to do again?
That me, if I want to contest election?
Yeah.
No. I don't have the resources to contest election. You see, I can't become a serial contestant. Some people have become serial contestants. They just contest for the fun of it. Maybe they use it to mobilize money. So I have a job. I have a good job. My job has brought me in contact with world leaders. You can see my 60th birthday just last Saturday. I was celebrated globally. So what more do I want in life? You see, a man must know what he wants out of life.
I was in the Zoom party.
You were in the Zoom party.
Sorry.
Fantastic. You saw even the former president, Babangida. I was shocked because he never even told us he was going to join. And he joined. You know, in life, you must know what someone said. My wife will never allow. It's not about my wife. My wife knows I'm a man of destiny. If I decide to do it, she will support me. She's a prayer warrior. She will pray for me. And that's all you need. Nobody should discourage anybody from pursuing their interests. If that's my interest, but the thing is, I don't want to be a serial contestant. Some people have told me, oh, why don't you go for governorship or be a senator? Not me. I'm not that kind of person. The reason I wanted to be president is that I know that without executive power, you cannot change Nigeria. If I become a senator, I will be a drop in the ocean. Finish. We'll all be collecting allowances, and that's where it will end. That's not how I want to end my life.
Dele, looking back now, is there something that you wanted to do that you did not do when you were younger? Is there something that you still want to do?
I don't think so. I just said it. I'm a man of destiny. I believe that everything I've done, I was destined to do. I never planned to be a journalist. I wanted to be a teacher, marry a teacher, and live happily thereafter. I ended up being a journalist out of joblessness. Anytime I had crisis or I reached a dead end, something new was about to happen. I planned to celebrate my 60th birthday big time. But if I had celebrated it the way I planned originally, it would have just been a replica of what I did at 40, what I did at 50. But what I did at 60 was totally different, and it took the whole world by storm. We were live on television in over 40-something countries in Africa. We were on Zoom globally. We had a Pastor Gandhi from America. We had a Pastor Shola Folalade from London. We had Pastor Ito Agudalo from Nigeria. I mean, we had great men and women from all over the world participate. We had over 1,400 guests on Zoom. I'm not sure even we were trending. We were probably number 3.
Yes, we had fun. It was fun. Was a fun party.
So in my life, I have learned to just leave everything in the hands of God. I've learned that. Someone said something.
Deji, I think that they're attacking Deji on Deji. I think he's on. He said something.
Deji, okay, but I haven't seen any. They said there's a question, but I didn't see the question.
Yeah.
Deji is my brother, is my friend, but I don't know what they are saying about him.
Yeah. No, I think he made a comment, and they were now. I think we missed it, so they came after.
A comment tonight or before?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, well, they're saying that they did shut up or something. So I don't know, maybe he said something that we missed or so.
Anyway, no problem.
There's another question. Okay, missed that one already. So, Uncle Dele, what is the worst thing I've said about you? The worst thing that you've heard? Deji's back. He said something that
Oh,
that's when.
he said how did Tinubu become rich in Lagos?
Yeah.
I'm not his press secretary, so I'm not supposed to be answering what I don't understand. But what I know is that anybody can be rich. Even people who were not as powerful as Tinubu, they control billions. Half of those who live in Banana, they've never been in politics.
Yeah.
For as long as I've known Tinubu, he's always been a rich man. Even when we were in exile, I remember, because me, what I know about people is what I will say. What I don't know about them, I won't say it. When we were in exile, Tinubu was one of the few people you could go to who will give you money. The first time we got a house, we got our first apartment on top of a corner shop on Rumford Road. We had no money to buy even duvet in winter, cutlery, everything. It was Tinubu who gave us the first 500 pounds at that time. So Tinubu has never been a poor man. That one I can confirm. Never.
I also remember that.
And let me tell you, for a fact, the house he's been living somewhere around Cavendish in Regent's Park. That's where he still lives till today. Since our exile days, it's a flat. Chief Mobolaji Bankantoni used to have a flat in that building. Tinubu has been in the same building. I can confirm that till today. The last time I went to his house in Bodilon, I was shocked that the same way I saw the house maybe in 2007 is the, people will give you things. If you are a leader, people will support you. If journalists, can every journalist in good conscience say that they live strictly on their salary? That people have never helped you? Azuka, would you tell anybody that nobody has helped you in the course of your job? No, it's not possible. People will help you. And if you don't have anyone to help you, then it means you are a bad person. Then somebody will help you. So, but I don't know anything about who stole money, who didn't steal money. I'm not in government. I've never been in government.
Uncle Dele, so what is the worst thing that has been written about you? Or that you heard about you?
Deji, go and sit down. Deji is my man. Just
questions.
Deji.
But they are coming for him, though.
No. They don't have to attack him. He has a right. He has a right to say. I mean, we're in a democracy, and even Chief Tinubu will never stop anybody from talking. Have you ever heard him stop anybody from? He won't tell anybody not to say anything. Tomorrow, don't be surprised, they can be friends. So politics is like that.
Yes. I have one vital question. If President Buhari invites you now to be one of his ministers,
I beg you.
One of his ministers, will you serve your country?
Let me tell you something. I don't believe that they just invite people in Nigeria. I doubt. I don't think so.
They feel that,
but I have nothing against my country. Why would I not want to serve my country? What I've always said, and you can ask Felado if you see him, when he came to see me, I told him, I said, you should never beg to serve your country. When you see people who beg to serve their country, they have an agenda. So if I am invited and I believe I'll be relevant where they are putting me, why not? But if I'm not going to be relevant, I'm not going to risk a business I've labored to build now for 24 years. Because what is government going to give me that I'm not currently enjoying? Am I going to sleep in 2 rooms? Am I going to drive 10 cars at the same time? So my own is, you must be relevant in the position they put you. If you're not going to make an impact, don't bother. Or you're just going to disgrace yourself and your family.
Okay, Uktele, I think
Azuka, you're not tired.
I'm tired. Not tired? Well, not really. I'm not really tired, but I'm just feeling for you because it's already late. And
it's okay.
I just said I wanted to just say thank you for finding that time to come on live with me, and really appreciate it. It's actually my first live. I enjoyed it. These are the things I wanted to ask you all this while as a young journalist, and but the opportunity never came. So I'm happy that
Thank you.
we talk about
Azuka,
it
you
today.
know you are my very dear Aburo anytime. I respect your brain. Sometimes when you write some things, I will call you and I will commend you, because I'm a writer. So I appreciate good writing. So keep writing. Don't give up. Keep
Thank
writing.
you, Uncle Dele.
And
Thank
take
you
good
so
care
much.
of yourself. Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
And good night,
Yeah.
all our viewers. God bless you all. I
Thank you.
enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you, Uncle
Thank
Dele.
you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye. Good night. Thank you.
Rita, I can see you. Thank you. And thank you for coming in, for breathing in. Rita, Brenda, Lolo, Madam Chizzy, everyone that tuned in. Jennifer, thank you. KK, thank you so much. I'm sure you guys have learned a lot from this tonight. Hopefully, I'll be able to do this with someone new. Oh, Tutu, Tutu, thank you. Thank you for breathing in too. Okay. Everybody. Rita, thank you. Could I want to look at, okay, leave the scene like that. I can see some nice, some, I mean, Rita, Madam Cheesy, Tutu. Wow. All right. How do we go of this thing now?
End.
How do I end it?
Share.
Little.
Share.
It's not saying share. It said end now. What do we
Yes,
do?
end now. End now.